Hello and good morning, my creative friends. Welcome to Painting in Your PJs with Minette. I'm Dr. Minette Riordan. If this is your first time stopping by, welcome to my crazy studio where all the things happen. I am truly a multi-potentialite type creative, love doing all the things, but this year I've been doing a combination of a lot of animal paintings and a lot of paper doll making here in my studio and having a lot of fun with these different expressions of parts of self. I truly believe that art is a really powerful tool for self-discovery, for personal growth, for healing ourselves into wholeness. And paper dolls in particular bring us back to a delightful sense of childlike wonder if you were someone who played with paper dolls. I actually don't remember playing with paper dolls as a kid. I played with puppies, which is part of the story I'll be sharing and where I'm going with my doll making today. But thinking about good morning, Lorraine, and thank you for your lovely email yesterday, my friend. I so appreciate you. I did see it. And there's something about this using creative process, and in particular, this form of paper doll making as a way to see ourselves whole, to honor and love all of our parts of self. And we hold multitudes within, as Walt Whitman said in one of his poems, we contain multitudes. And for me, when we can not just look at an individual part, but see all of the parts with love and kindness and tenderness, we start to really own our integrity in the sense of wholeness, to see the majesty of all of the parts of ourselves, to really connect to the authentic voice within, which may be one that has been lost or buried or disconnected for a while. So this month we have been making paper doll tags, and I have my last two tags that we made. I'm going to go ahead and switch my camera over and let's dive into some creative play. So here's my tags, my radiant self. This is my wild woman blooming from our first couple of weeks in July. And this week we're going to be looking at what you could call the memory keeper or the summer storyteller. It's midsummer, you know, hopefully like I'm past the days of knowing when school starts and my with my kids being all grown, and yet there's still that energy of summer drawing to a close that starts to come mid to late August, but we're still right now late in July in the fullness of summer. So what I want to create today is a doll that really represents that aspect of me that remembers my childlike sense of play and wonder. And when I was a young kid growing up, my parents raised German short-haired pointer puppies. And I'll talk about the faces in just a second. And some of my fondest memories and some of my favorite like black and white childhood photos or my brother and I sitting in front of a mimosa tree in our front yard. It was one of my favorite trees. It had such beautiful pink blooms every year, just literally being covered in puppies. And we always had dogs growing up, and we almost always had a German short-haired pointer puppy or dog in the family as well. Good morning, Tori. And so today I thought I want to actually make a doll that represents that childlike memory of summer playfulness. So I went back through my stash of paper doll faces that I created using AI, and I don't know, this is one that I have shared before. So if you're on my email list, I will email this out later today. So if you want a copy of these child faces, that you can have them. And I have gathered up, I printed out, I found online a picture of some German short-haired pup pointer puppies. That is a tongueful to say. I have my tag. Thank you. Yeah, these were really lovely ones, and I'm excited to color one. I have a piece of mixed media paper that I will be using to create the body of my doll on. And then as I was kind of just looking through my stash, some word paper, that's from something else. But I was really drawn to these kind of grungy handmade papers, hand dyed papers. This is a gorgeous image from that I bought on Etsy. I loved this bumblebee. So I was very drawn to these kind of, they felt sort of nostalgic, a different, very different color palette for me for sure. And so there's something here about this felt very summery, both in color and the flowers blooming and the bumblebee coming out. So I'm going to decide which one of these faces I want to create. And I'm going to color her right on this mixed media paper. So I'm going to color first, and then I am going to cut her out. And I'm feeling a little bit drawn perhaps to this one when I was young, really young. So, kindergarten, maybe first grade age. I did have pigtails until I think my mom got tired of me fussing about having my hair taken care of. And so those pigtails got cut off, and I have had short hair ever since. And I don't like having long hair. I love the way long hair looks. So I like her. But I was also very drawn to these sweeties with the flowers in their hair, just because it had that connotation of summer as well. So I'm a little torn. And at some point, I will probably use many of these faces. All right, as I'm looking, I'm going to go for some reason with this one, and the flowers got cut off a little bit on the top, and that's okay. I can either paint them over or add some flowers. So I'm just going to get some color down on this face, continuing my journey this month of coloring faces with the Car into Ash Neo Color 2 watercolor crayons. My hair was darker brown back then, not so gray streaked. And in the summers, we spent so much time outside. I was always very, very tan, and definitely inherited my ability to tan from my father's mother and side of the family with, very olive colored skin. And I think I love the Car into Ash. Good morning, Yvonne, because they just come together really quickly. I love that, I can layer them and play with them. Let's see, just looking for a couple of brushes here. Start with this little bigger one. And again, this is a sheet of 9 by 12 mixed media paper. It's a nice paper, but not a super heavyweight paper, which meant that it went through my printer. So I was actually able to print this page of faces right onto this mixed media paper. So this will be a fun project where, one afternoon or an evening while I'm sitting watching TV, I will probably come in and color up all the other faces all at once, because then I will have them for quick future projects. She's probably going to need a little bit more of a neck, but we'll start there. And I don't have any memory of wearing flower crowns, but they look really pretty and fun. And I'm going to come in just a little more detail. I think one of the things I loved was the looks like lots of hand sketched pencil work on these faces. So when you think about summer, so our theme today is our summer storyteller or our summer memory keeper. You might have a favorite summer memory with your own kiddos. So there's this almost feels like maybe it'll be a double-sided card, or there might be two tags for me this week. One of those tags I think will hold this memory of me as a kiddo playing always with dogs and puppies and animals and riding. We had a horse when I was growing up, riding the horse. So lots of really wonderful memories of my own summer childhood. But as I'm looking and thinking about that being that memory keeper, thinking also about what are the memories of me as mother of my own children. And I have wonderful memories with the kids of trips here to Colorado when they were little, of trips to see Brad's family in Nova Scotia. And we have one of my favorite photos of Connor, who's now 26, is from when he was probably, I don't know, 2, itty bitty. And the first time he saw the ocean, it was love at first sight. And he loved being in the waves and playing in the waves. And we have this great picture of him with this just look of absolute glee on his face. And so there's lots of memories of my kids at the beach. So think about what feels like your version of your storyteller. Go away. I just hit some, there we go, weird button. You know, of your storyteller or your memory keeper. Are you thinking about your own childhood? Are you thinking perhaps about if you have your own kiddos or nieces and nephews? Are there other memories that might be surfacing as you think about the storyteller within or the memory keeper? Just thinking about what aspect of your own inner memories want to kind of surface today. And are you feeling called and pulled to create a childhood version of a doll, or maybe a version of you as mother, or many of you are grandmothers. Maybe as the grandmother, you are the memory keeper. And so thinking about what aspect of you wants to come forward in this paper doll today. And you can't get it wrong. But when I talk about summerhood memories, what's the first thing that pops into your mind today? The first thing that pops into your mind today. And I will, if you're just joining me live and you're on my Paper Doll Chronicle email list, I will email out these faces later today. If you're not on that list, there is a link to get on that list. A little paint marker here in the description of the video. Your tree house and your rope swing, that sounds amazing, Tori. We had lots of woods to play in, so that was always something that really stood out for me, was how much we got to play outside in nature. Let's see if there's any. I have so many paint markers, and a lot of them are Get just a little bit out of there. Just bring some of that highlight back into her eye there. Okay, so I think we have a face for our sweet little doll. Other summer memories, perhaps recent memories are also speaking to you today. Maybe it's a current summer memory of something that's happened this summer that you want to remember and capture. I'm going to get some smaller scissors here and do a little fussy cutting for a moment. And remember, if you don't have a printer at home, that you can 100% just use collaged magazine images for your paper dolls. Just don't feel like you have to do what I'm doing, but definitely just enjoy doing these your own way. Maybe even a photograph of you as a child that you love. I'm gonna see if I can just make those leaves come back where the edge of the image was cut off. That's something that sometimes happens in AI. It doesn't always get all of the details right, but I'm still grateful for the playfulness and creativity of that tool. All right, I am pretty happy with her. And I am going to, just like with all the other ones that I've done, just kind of create an abstract shape for her dress here. And I'm thinking I want her to, she's probably going to hang off over the top of the tag a little bit because she's pretty big and I kind of want her dress to match. So that means if she's kind of up here, I'm just measuring where the bottom of that tag is and the side of that tag is. It kind of just gives me a estimation for the abstract shape that I'm creating. And if you remember the other ones that I did, or if you haven't seen these yet, these are the style of sort of just abstract bodies, really focusing on capturing the faces of these. So you can see they're just plain rectangular shapes, nothing super fancy here because I want to get to the creative and the tag making. But of course, if yours needs more formal clothes to make that happen, right? So there's no kind of right or wrong way to do this. And I think I'm going to make this a little bit narrower because I do want to have maybe a little fun room to play on the back side of the tag. I also want those shoulders to be even and I kind of, well, right now I think I'm liking this little bit higher shoulder. So I'm just going to simply fold this in half. Just give it a little extra room for the neck. That just helps me have space to glue it on to the head. And then I'm just going to roughly follow that pencil line. Turn it over to that clean side. And then we're going to just attach her on there And I like that I can offset her just a little bit and still have some room to play on the tag behind her. So one of the things I'm thinking about is these puppies are going to actually be on her as part of that memory, because this is my memory keeper. So she's holding sort of that childhood magic. And I'm feeling very collagey today, so probably more, sometimes it's like, oh, I really want to paint the tags, but today it was like, no, lots of collage coming. Look at those babies, they're so stinking cute. So I got to figure out, so I'm going to go ahead and attach her head. I also found this one in a magazine yesterday, which I think started as I was doing some other collage work, which kind of started me down the path of this, sort of inner child thoughtfulness about that memory keeper part of myself. Just making sure I get that neck attached so you can see why I made that neck extra long up there. And that glue stick will dry. So let's see what we had here. What's going to go? It almost feels like maybe this flower is part of her. And I love the puppies really kind of match that contrast. So if I were to just trace over. And sometimes it's nice working with these big image comes makes things come together quicker and sometimes slower. You're getting your puppy tomorrow. Yay! I love that. They are the cutest puppies. And where do you have to go to get it? I can't remember. Is it local or do you have to like travel to go pick it up? And who's more excited, you or your hubby, about getting the puppy? I think you're probably both equally excited. Oh, I love that. And look, even sort of the colors of her face kind of match with the colors of the flower. And we're going to bring these puppies in here as well. And then I think I'm probably going to bring some of that pink into the background as well. And then we'll figure out what we're doing the doll. Oklahoma. Yeah, I knew you had to go somewhere. Yeah, that's so exciting. Are you going to stay overnight? Be a lot of driving for one day. And I will be watching social media for all of the puppy pics. Just going to go ahead and let that hang over the dress a little bit. And then I'm going to come back in. Too many things. That's right, Lorraine. Definitely a bundle of joy. And I'm going to bring in some of that green up there in the already up in the flowers in her hair. And just again, we're, always looking to how can we sort of create a little cohesiveness in our design. And then I'm also going to just come in a few of these dark areas. and just add a little bit of pink also to kind of help pull the whole piece together. Anybody else have any summerhood memories that you're thinking of that are popping up? Tori, I could see you like making a little tree house and then a paper doll on a swing to kind of pull out some of those memories. So I love how this kind of just brings it all together a little bit more. And this printout is just on plain, printer paper, so it's not like it's great paper. So I notice that I'm not getting quite the flow here, but just enough to kind of pull that dress together. And now we're going to see what's going to happen on the background for her. So I love her already, love that sweet face, love those sweet puppies, and like there's a peace and a calm. I certainly remember just so much giggling, right? How could you not giggle when you're covered in puppies? Let's see. Just going to start playing with some things, putting some things together. Again, there's something about these darker colors that feel a little bit like somehow nostalgic for me. But I also like these little swirly bits of blue and gold, and I may just be overthinking it all. So when I start to overthink, it means it's time to just glue things down and see what happens. And it's just layers, right? So we're just starting in with the layers and can continue to add and build things up as we go along. I'm wanting feels like the words feel important because they somehow just feel like kind of the layers of those summer stories. And it's not that I need to remember all the stories, but that somehow all of those sweet memories are still there. Oops, got off screen. All right. So I'm going to trim this up, see where we're at, see what needs to get added. And I love when I'm doing this kind of intuitive collage process where I'm letting this story unfold and you're creating on a substrate like this tag, something that has, a limited size, that just let it flow over the edges and trim it up after. Don't try to be super precise about getting everything perfect in the moment. Let's some of those pinky goldy colors in there, but the more you're willing to just kind of go for it, then actually the more interesting that collage will turn out to be. And again, something about all the words feels good, but she's not standing out enough. So I am going to grab some paint. I think a nice bright blue, and I'm going to put a transparent layer of blue mixed with a little bit of matte medium on that collage and sort of push all those words to the background so that she stands out. And I'm looking at her thinking, I've been having so much fun with all of these, not that one, well, that one has one, but all of these paper flowers, that there might need to be also some flowers added to really capture this sense of, summer. And it's interesting because it's almost like I've got the childlike version of this same blooming crone self here, and they're kind of beautiful mirrored parts of self that I really love. So I'm going to grab a little bit of matte medium here. And this blue, just a little small bit of blue, that's probably more than I need. Let me get a bigger brush here. Don't have a palette knife over here. And I'm just gonna mix those together. And again, that's more paint than I need, but I will use it up for something. And I'm going to get a little bit of paint on there. And then I'm going to come in with one of my favorite studio tools, just a baby wipe. And I'm going to push that paint back. What I'm looking is to create a cohesive surface here on the tag so that my doll will stand out, but I don't want to completely lose all of those yummy layers and textures and colors that are underneath. I want to be able to see those words, maybe even a little bit of the texture underneath. So I'm just continuing to, if this is a way of it's almost like staining the paper. So that now when we put her on here, that she has this kind of moody background so that she stands out just a little bit more. There we go. Now you can see the whole thing. And I'm sort of fascinated by how fast she's coming together, right? Some of the other ones felt like they took a lot longer to create. And so I have this pile of paint here. I just had there it is. Got my nice yellow scraper. I don't want to get that all over what I'm continuing to work on. So I'm just going to get a layer of paint onto this tag that will get used for something at some point. And it's okay if that paint is getting all over both sides. So now I no longer have this pile of paint. I have a fun tag I've already gotten some paint down on, and I'm just gonna make sure I get all that juicy blue goodness scooped up. Never be afraid to layer up your painty papers. The more layers, the more interesting they become. And I've been having so much fun lately making all kinds of painty papers. So maybe we'll do some of that in August. It might be fun to have some relaxing playtime in August. All right. So now it feels like the background is dark. It needs some brightening up, but I'm happy I got my hands super painty here, and maybe just coming in with some little bit of bright colored dots and maybe some white and some pink and some green, kind of the same colors we've using. Just do a little mark making in the background, or maybe even a little stenciling. But I did grab today my distress ink because I was feeling that grungy. This color is called Vintage Photo. And I am just going to take this around the edge of my doll here. And this is also going to help her just stand out from that background just a little bit more. It also matches, what I've been doing on some of the other ones. And if I wanted to smooth out even more, this is water soluble. So if I added, this is not one of the archival ones. If I wanted to, I could definitely water that down and smooth it out. But I wanted to kind of have that nice dark edge there. And I'm thinking some white paint and a makeup sponge. We're going to set her aside for a minute. I'm going to step over here and grab some kind of fun stencil. I know you can hear me right now, but you can't see me. But let's just see, what do I have over here? I want something with a pretty small pattern on it. Maybe something a little floral, maybe even some dots. All right. I don't want too big of a pattern because the pattern that is on the doll herself is pretty big, but here's some nice leaf patterns and some abstract shapes. So she's going to go right here. So I'm just going to put a quick pencil outline here for myself so I know where I'm going to see the stencil lines. And I'm like, how far up do I want her to stand? Do I want some room? I kind of like her all the way down. So we need some white around her, but not so much at the bottom. And I know you guys can't see that, but I've got just a little bit of a line here so you can see a little bit of a shine. Makeup sponges are my favorite tool for using with stencils. I think you get the most clean stencil. Oh, I kind of love these. Kind of look like X's and O's. But we want to just get a little bit of texture down on the page. A little bit of contrast, right? We always want to think about just how can we create visual interest on the page. Maybe these are going to just grow right off the edge there. Those need to be just a little bushier. And because that blue is, those colors behind are pretty dark, and I'm working with just white paint, not a gesso, you can see that there's not a ton of contrast, which is great, right? So it's just that very, very subtle effect. And if I don't like it, so this got a little messier than I wanted, I can just wipe it away, add a little more paint, go again. But we're going to put our doll back in here. And it's just what it needed, was just that little bit of a touch. But again, this to me just feels like they're too much in lines. I actually like this version a little bit better. So I'm going to come back in. with just a little bit of that blue paint, and I'm just going to push them back. Never be afraid to paint over those layers. And this time I'm going to take a paper towel and just kind of push it back, and then I'm going to try again. So I'm like, okay, that wasn't quite the right stencil. It was almost right. I do like the leafy bits, but these others feel, too much like just in a line. Okay, I'm going to move her out of the way where I get paint all over everything. So I'm going to do this one again, but I feel like it needs a stem is what it's missing right down the center to kind of pull that together. That's better. So much cleaner looking there, right? Much neater. I'm going to do another layer of that white over here. Just make that just pop out just a little bit more. Might even get that little bit of a stem up the edge there. And then I think we're going to try some of these just abstract dots up here. All the way up and down. Just breaking up the color a little bit is my intention here. Okay, much better. Going right over where her neck is, so it just looks like that pattern continues behind her. So again, we have a little more interest, some little more pops of color. And I have this favorite, let's see if I can find it, color of paint marker. Oh, some of this neon yellow might be nice. Maybe I want to bring some neons in. But I have this one sort of yellowy green. That blue's a good one too. It's probably floating around on my table somewhere because it's one that I use all the time, but I thought I had picked them all up. Okay, so we're going to play with these for a minute. And I'm going to commit to gluing her down. I might even bring some of the dots in that distress ink right over the top by Tori, the top of the doll, so that I'm not wanting to get that blue paint on my doll, so that I can repeat that pattern just a little bit. We're going to go just get her glued down. And it felt like this one was coming together fast. It felt like the doll came together fast, but the background is feeling just a little trickier. And see, I got some of that white paint on her face there. This is on, multiple layers of paper, so really gonna work at that, getting her stuck down. Gonna grab another one of those baby whites. And if I can't, so I'm getting the black from the printer in there, right? All right, get that little bit of white paint off. So this is an example of where I could go in with matte medium over the top of her face and clean up the color, but I think it is close enough. Oh, I did use that green. That was what I used on, oh, there it is right in front of me. Silly me. Okay. Dirty fingers. Baby wipes are also great for keeping hands clean. But what happens if we come in over, that's the brand new one, and just add some little pops of color to some of the dots, not all of the dots. But now we're going to really start to bring that background to life and to, again, we're just looking to have a little bit of contrast in our doll design here. All right, she's feeling very fun. Bring some of that in over on the sides over here. Maybe just a little bit, almost like little bits of bloom. I love fluorescents. I think they add so much fun to an image. Feels like maybe I also need a little pop of pink in the background to kind of match some of the other places. I'm going to repeat that orange just over here. So again, it's not all stuck in that one corner. And I don't know that I have a nice fluorescent pink, so we're just going to come in again with one of our watercolor crayons. All right, kind of definitely digging the polka dots because it feels fun and childlike. And this is kind of this funky yellowy green, and we're just going to come in and integrate the pattern here. Give this just a little dimension. And now I'm going to come in with, I think, a little bit of black so that we can continue to have that little bit of contrast. I'm going to zoom back in on her. So she's coming together. Now as I'm looking at this, I'm almost wanting to bring some of that neon yellow to the flower here, to some of those bright areas, and brighten her up as well. Not being too precious about the where or the how, and look at how much that just sort of brings this all to life even more. Because when I think about my childhood, or the colors of my childhood, it's very vibrant, right? Everything, as a kid, there was a sense of vibrancy to things. Just taking a damp brush and just moving that color just a little bit. Okay, feeling good. Now it feels like we have that good contrast that I love and talk about a lot, about how important it is. It's not what I want. How about, let's see, finding a black pen that works. So this is one of my favorite black pens. I'm just going to outline all around the doll. Again, we're just looking to have her really stand out from the background. Create that little bit of a shadow there. And then also I'm going to go in and just maybe even can outline a few of these shapes. And I've covered up, right, a lot of those words and a lot of those stories, but that's how memory is. It's not always clean and neat. It could be a little bit fuzzy, or we just have an idea or a glimpse of our memories. There's a imperfectness to them. And I'm gonna add that pops of yellow to the flowers in her hair up there. And to me, I think part of what I am loving about this process is seeing them all together, right? Seeing how that story is unfolding. Clean up my desk so I can actually see things, but just sort of that noticing, right? Like the different aspects of self, different story. None of these are complicated, they're pretty simple. Still not certain I'm 100% in love with the background, but it's good for now. And I can feel that if I keep working on it, I'm going to overwork it. So it's time to step away, sit with it, and come back again. So here are three out of our four: our beautiful radiant self, our blooming wildflower self, and then this inner child memory keeper, story keeper. Hi, Tracy. Yes, I will send the faces, the child faces later later today when I have some time. I will make sure that I get all of these faces sent out by email so that you can have them to play with too. So fun perspective today, and thank you as always for joining me live. Thank you for watching the replay, and I love it when you share your paper dolls with me, either in the Paper Doll Chronicles forum on our website or simply through email. So again, many thanks for joining me. I am off for a walk before it gets too much hotter. Yeah, I really love these pretty faces. And I will see you guys again, same time, same place, next Thursday, 8 a.m. Mountain Time, for our fourth tag. And then also we'll look at next week some ideas about how would I use these tags? What would I do with them? They'd make great bookmarks, but the idea is how can I incorporate these into my art journal? So we'll talk about that next week as well. So again, enjoying watching all of these beauties build up. Have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye bye.